jump on and take advantage of those BOGOs. So grateful for a great company that takes such great care of us. Yes. Yeah, Dr. Daryl, if you've got a testimonial, go ahead and put that in the chat. We love to hear all the wins, especially the big product wins. So awesome. Okay, it looks like we've got Facebook Live going. So let me just test the audio, make sure. Where'd it go? Here it is. Okay. Yes. It looks like we are live on Facebook and recording. So yeah, I could spend literally 2 hours just giving highlights from this trip because it was so incredible. Guys, I have to tell you, like, if you go presidential for no other reason than to come on these trips, it's worth it. doTERRA spoils us so much, and they just roll out the red carpet in every way possible. It was amazing. So we rolled into Amman, Jordan, on Sunday night, and doTERRA has the most incredible resort in the area booked. It's right on the Dead Sea. And so every morning we go down, do the whole, you soak in the Dead Sea, and then you put on the mud that's in the Dead Sea, and then you scrub it off with the salt. There's like chunks of salt everywhere down there. And then you soak and rinse it off in the Dead Sea, and then take a nice shower. And it's supposed to be it's supposed to do wonders for the skin. It felt amazing. Your skin just comes out feeling so moisturized. And it's especially fun in the morning because it gets up to like 105 degrees and you are in the desert. Down by the Dead Sea, it's actually really humid. And so humid, 105 degrees was pretty intense. But then, yeah, we had a great kickoff dinner, lots of great masterminding. So good to gather again as global presidentials. This is the first truly global presidential trip where we've had our friends from Australia there, friends from all over. But just a gift. We had literally I think because doTERRA had such a long qualification period for this trip, like 3 years, this is the biggest presidential trip by far we've ever had. So over 200 leaders from the field, about 50 from corporate. It was amazing. So anyways, we did some sightseeing, we did some adventuring. Some of my highlights from the adventures. So we hiked to Petra, and many of you have seen photos of Petra. It's like, oh my goodness, it's surreal. It's like you're in southern Utah in the Slot Canyons, but then you turn a corner and there's this 4-story piece of architecture that's been carved out of the stone, and it's just jaw-dropping and amazing. So that hike was amazing. Some of us ventured on to the monastery, which is there's like thousands of these carvings. I thought it was just the one, but you're seeing these carvings all the way there and then for miles beyond. So really cool experience there. Another fun cool experience was doTERRA took us to the Wadi Rum Desert, which is where some of the Star Wars scenes were shot. It's where Dune was filmed. Pretty much every great desert scene was filmed in Wadi Rum. So we go out there and we get on these four-wheel drive trucks, and we're sitting in the backs of these trucks on benches, and there's this cool covering on the back. So it just feels like you're on this kind of safari. And then we just take off through the desert. So we're like going down these hills and through these dunes. And then we stop at this cool place, and there's about 300 camels. And doTERRA has us get on the camels and we ride across the desert. And then when we get off, we get to this little hill. And at the top of the hill, doTERRA has all these, local rugs and cool artifacts set up. And then there's a grand black piano with a pianist who's performing for us at the top of this hill. And then they have snacks and gelato and you're
Snacks,
just, of course,
gelato.
right? Doesn't complete the picture.
I mean, this is amazing.
Yeah. And then from there, we came back down the hill and they had this incredible buffet spread out where, I mean, all the hummus, the pita, the baba ganoush, incredible meats and, falafel, like just the full Mid-Eastern spread with all the fresh veggies. It was so breathtaking. And just like everything just becomes this backdrop to connect with the most amazing people on the planet. Like seriously, doTERRA just continues to attract the best of the best. And it's so fun to meet the new presidentials. There were like 5 new presidentials from Brazil, heaps from Europe, just amazing people. And yeah, and then a group of us stayed on and went to Jerusalem and spent 4 days there, which that's a whole nother tale of its own. But yeah, it was literally the trip of a lifetime, like something doTERRA has been planning for years. And I don't think they can ever pull anything out like that one off again, just because of logistics and scale. But so grateful for the owners, for their generosity, for all the presidentials who worked so hard to be there. Just amazing. So one for the books.
So cool.
Yes.
It's incredible. And then you spent some extra time too, right? That like, oh, just goodness.
Yeah, the Israel part was so eye-opening. Like there's just so many things that you've studied. Like I've studied the Bible my whole life. I've loved the Bible my whole life. But like this morning, I'm listening to a podcast about the New Testament, and as he's talking about, Gethsemane and Calvary, and it's just like it's real now because I've walked there, I've seen it, I've smelled the smells and heard the sounds. Like it's just so grateful. But yeah, that was amazing. So grateful to be home.
Yay.
Yes.
Thank you, doTERRA, for all the cool level of experience that's happening and
yes,
that they create for y'all. Like what a cool experience.
Yeah. There comes a point in your life where you just don't want any more stuff.
Right.
But someone can offer you an experience. To me, that's the real gift. That's the gift. So
yeah.
So grateful. And thank you, Tiffany, for covering for the 2 weeks. I tried to hop on while we were in Jordan. My internet was awful. And so I couldn't hear you at all. I could see you. I kept coming on, trying to say hi. But anyways, thank you for covering.
You guys, you want to know, Andy, what's so fascinating too is while you were gone, something showed up at my house.
What?
You guys, look what showed up at my house.
It was probably somebody somebody on the call who was just sick of hearing about it. And so they're like, let's just get this over with.
I mean, doesn't it look good? You guys, doesn't it look natural? Like, hey,
it suits you.
But I was like, it showed up right as you guys were maybe going out of town or you were just out of town. And I was like, look what happened to show up, guys.
And how do you like it? Have you been using it? I mean,
we haven't used it just yet, but it's going to I'm going to open up. I wanted to unpackage it while we're here live together. I've been in launch mode. We finally launched. My mastermind went live yesterday. And so the last 3 weeks, it's been a little intense.
How fun.
But I have been sleeping with this. I've cuddled with it. Just the box, like the box. I've been like, okay,
let's use it through osmosis.
Yes.
I love it.
But this showed up while you guys were gone. Fascinating, huh?
That's so great. Well, you have more than earned it. We are so grateful for you.
You've more than begged for it too. I love it. So excited, but no, thank you so much. And just love being part of this community with you and with this group. So much greatness happening here. So much gratitude. So
Amen.
Yes.
Yes. We also
Speaking of
have,
roses,
yes.
speaking
Well,
of roses,
go ahead.
yesterday I had a massage yesterday afternoon. I happened to set it up like 2 months ago, not knowing it was launch day. And
Uh-huh.
it just happened to be that because the spa I love to go to the most, they're booked out like usually anywhere from 30 to 90 days, just depends. So I'm at the spa, and after I wrapped up at the spa, they have these fancy chocolate bars, and I always like to try a new one. I mean, expand your horizons. So the one I picked yesterday is called Raspberry Rose, and it tastes divine. So we're just bringing all the rose into my life, for my
I love
skin,
it.
the chocolate, all the roses, bring them on.
Okay, well, keep us posted after you use it. Tell us about the results and how it feels. And I know we can count on you for that.
Yes, you will.
So
I mean, I have my glow blend on today. I'm always a glow girl,
love it.
go to the max kind of thing, where it's like that glow blend is morning and night. And now we add the rose duet into it too. Are we saying duet or duet?
Oh, that's true. It's got a little French.
Is it rose duet or is it duet?
With duet. I say duet, but it's a little bit utilitarian, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm seeing lots of testimonials for it here in the chat too. So lots of people loving them. Some rose duet every day, Maria says.
And also, I know you already said this, but my heck, this BOGO week y'all just decided to put together is incredible.
Right?
But you know what, I'm really bummed is, again, because heavily in launch mode, my head was down working on all.
Oh, shoot.
The Meta Power one is so sexy.
Yeah, that was almost too good to be true. And that's
Did
why
they just let people buy like one per household on that?
Honestly, I can't remember. Can somebody post if well, it's past
You were
history.
probably traveling home.
They're sold out. Oh, it says
you can buy two.
It was two, yeah, per account. So yes, lots of
Well,
good.
I hope y'all took advantage of that, because that's like top shelf
advantage
BOGO.
of the advantage.
That's not just, hey, buy a lemon, get a lemon free. And we love lemon. That's not a dig on, I mean, we love the lemon.
For
But
sure.
that Meta Power business is like so good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Joel posted in the comments earlier that he had somebody who wouldn't enroll for 8 years, but they signed up with the Meta Power Advantage BOGO. So
yeah,
I get it.
Clear, like, hey, do you want a Mercedes for free? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Mercedes for your skin and for your guts, your collagen.
Exactly.
So
the truth.
Hi.
Also, while we were there, we did have a little bit of a meeting. I think it was day 2. We sat down in a conference room, and we had a really cool guest. I forgot his name, but he is probably the world's expert on frankincense and the frankincense trail. And so, since we were there in that neighborhood, that was super cool. And doTERRA gave us a little sneak peek on what's coming to convention. So all I can tell you is be there or be square. It's going to be epic. So don't miss convention. In person. So.
And look at this. We're ready for a full unboxing.
All right. It's the reveal.
Look at this, you guys. So beautiful. And it's in my favorite color.
There you go. Rose and gold.
Rose and gold.
There you go. Doesn't get any better.
No.
I love it. Yep. Fits you like a glove.
Yes, I'm feeling it. Okay. Can we talk about something that's up on my mind?
Please.
I want y'all to write down a simple statement, and it's simple but so powerful. The universe organizes itself around conviction. Or in other ways to say that, the universe shifts or moves following conviction. For the power of conviction and commitment, I have seen this play out so much in especially the last few weeks. And there's a beautiful woman she's done Success Academy in the past, and she joined my mastermind this summer. And this is not a plug for the mastermind. The mastermind's full. We can explore it for next year. But the experience, she's in doTERRA, and she sent me a message like 3 days ago that she is having her very best sales month that she's ever had. And it's only June, what? Now it's the 21st at the time. I think it was 2 or so days ago, the 19th of the month. And what I just loved about that is for her joining the mastermind was a big stake in the ground, right? Like a big, I'm going to up level myself. I'm going to invest in myself. And really what that transaction, sometimes we say the transformation begins in the transaction. And you don't have to have a transaction. Again, you don't have to sign up for something or a big thing. But what happens is this level, what is part of that is putting a stake in the ground, and that level of conviction and commitment, where she was a little like, the week before. And she says, I've watched my sales just like pop, pop, pop.
Wow.
And a lot of that, again, is her sense of like, if what the dollar amount and the investment to be part of the mastermind is representing is her level of like, I'm betting on me and I'm committed to my future self. And this is where my life and where my business is going. And I'm going to invest in myself to help me get there. And so it just brings me back to the power of, again, and for all of us, sometimes we might have a belief about summer sales. I love to say, don't sleep on summer loves. Like some people have a belief, so therefore it plays out that sales slow down in the summer. For a lot of people, summer is when their business just pops and things start happening. Because again, what matters all year round, whether it's December, whether it's July, September, or March, is, are you actively nourishing your business? Are you actively nourishing relationships? And are you honoring the systems, the processes that help you create that? Something that I've been reviewing this summer, Andy, our favorite friend, Atomic Habits, right? Normally we have talked about this book the last few Januaries as a group. Have any of you read this book, read or listened to it? Would you say so in the chat box or on Facebook in the comments? Have you read this book, Atomic Habits by James Clear? If not, you might want to get this book. And by might, you will want to get this book, Audible or physical copy. Or if it's been a minute since you've read it, it's a great time, right? Like June today, by the way, happy summer solstice, everyone. Welcome to summer. But we are in that moving into that middle of the year point. And it's a great time to kind of like reflect, recommit, look at where you're at and where you're going. But as Andy knows, and we love, because we've talked about this so many times in our conversations about this book, is talking about the focus on systems. He says this, let me just go to this one point. He says, goals are about the results you want to achieve, and systems are about the processes that lead to those results. And then he says this, goals are good for setting a direction, right? Like we love goals, we love vision, like where you're going, right? And the rank you want to achieve in doTERRA and the income and the outcomes that you want, for sure, that's valuable because they point us in a direction, but systems are best for making progress. And he says, ultimately, is your commitment to the process that will determine your progress. And then, as you love to quote this statement, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Right? That's worth saying again. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And then I love, he tucks this in. He said, you should be far more concerned with your current trajectory than with your current results. So all of us at this exact moment, even if you're wherever your results might be, whether you, like my client, are having the hottest month of your sales career in doTERRA, or you've been in a little bit like, wow, I'm a little bit off or in a slump or wherever you're at, is what matters is, again, concerned or focused with your current trajectory, which you can decide again in this moment, where am I going, what direction, but recommitting to systems, right? Have the goals, have the vision, loves, but you also want to be thinking about and looking at for yourself is, again, systems or processes. And that could be as simple. And sometimes that feels like really big language, like systems means like I have to have a whole computer room running a show, right? Sometimes it's like, what does this mean? Are we on Star Trek or something? No. It's simply, but even if like we talk about pipes, right? You're prospecting, you're nourishing, as simple as how many people do you connect with or nourish on a daily/weekly basis, and have specific intentional goals. And then part of your process again is that we're following up, we're connecting, how we onboard someone, how we nourish them. Do we then put them back in a calendar, and are we hosting a barbecue this summer or various gatherings or make and takes, or we're sharing the BOGOs with people and letting them know about this. But this is so powerful. Like when you think about whatever time of year, if you're working the system, right? One of my mentors would always say this phrase again and again, he would say that the principles always work if you work the principles. And so have the goals, have the vision, but then also I'd be heavily looking at, again, you've heard me say effort-based goals or habits is looking at your specific habits. I think that's so rich and so worth revisiting. The other thing I think is so valuable to look at in this material and in your own life is he talks about the 3 layers of behavior change, right? And he gives this imagery, right? The 3 levels of behavior change. And then he gives this imagery where he talks about that the first layer is about changing your outcomes, right? He says this level is concerned with changing your results, losing weight, publishing a book, winning a championship. Most of the goals you set are associated with this level of change, right? I want to be gold in doTERRA or diamond, right? We talk about that a lot. And it's like, oh, I need to lose weight. I need to write the book or publish the show. So the second layer is changing your process. And this level is concerned with changing your habits and systems, right? Which is what we're talking about. Implementing those new routines, things like that, developing a practice. Most of the habits you build are associated with this level. And he said the third and deepest layer of change is changing your identity, right? Identity-based change and identity-based habits versus outcome-based habits. When we have outcome-based habits, we're working outward, coming in, versus when we have identity-based habits, it's inward, working out, right? This level is concerned with changing your beliefs, your worldview, your self-image, your judgment about yourself and others, right? And most of the beliefs, assumptions, biases we hold are associated with this level, right? Outcomes are about what you get. Processes are about what you do. Identity is about what you believe. And so many of you dropping into seeing yourself, right? Like it's coming into that identity level. Like he talks about, he gives the example in Atomic Habits of a woman who lost over 100 pounds. I don't care who you are, that's significant, right? By anyone's measure. And she made those changes and everyone's like, oh, what did you do? We already know what we need to do for them, foundationally to be healthy and in shape. We already know that level of what we need to quote do, but she started re-scripting her identity day in and day out multiple times a day is what would a healthy person choose? What would a healthy person choose? In our world, we'd say, what would a diamond choose? How does he think, speak, believe, dress, show up, serve? What are the actions they take, whether it's comfortable, not comfortable, whether it's July, whether it's November? How does that person show up? How does your future self show up? Your higher self show up, right? Your most vibrant self show up. And you think about that as seeing yourself, right? Some of you don't see yourself. You go, oh, okay, yeah, I know I need to do, but it's seeing yourself and identifying with that you are a thriving, successful leader in this business. The beliefs you have, the images, what you're projecting, what you're seeing, what you're reinforcing. We sometimes say the stories that we're telling and being mindful of that. And so coming into that, I just thought, I was like, I want to share that with our community because coming home to that myself, once again, rereading it, seeing it, realizing it, once again, reinforcing it, it's like, ooh, that's so good. So all of you right now, you could take a moment, see yourself, like whether in a one-on-one or a class or a gathering, see yourself happy, see yourself sharing the products, sampling the oils or drinking the MetaPower or whatnot, or diffusing and like seeing yourself helping someone get started. and lots of someone's get started. See yourself teaching the class, see yourself, right? But seeing yourself also in the process of, this is who I am. But seeing yourself again, crossing the stage at convention and being acknowledged for your next rank, these types of things. And that, I know we're talking about visualization, but coming home to core identity is, do you see yourself as thriving? Do you see yourself as someone, again, what would a gold choose? What would a diamond choose? How do they think, speak, dress, act? How do they show up? And how do they show up when they're discouraged? Or how do they show up, at any season of time? And it's just so powerful, is all of you have the ability to create change. And again, me sharing that about my client that's in the mastermind in doTERRA, is her having her very best sales month this month in June. Big part of that is because she firmed up her conviction of like, I'm all in. I'm serious about growing this. I'm ready. And that level of stake in the ground, right? And all of us can renew that type of a commitment where it's like, I'm all in. That's what she did, is she put herself in an environment where it was like, no, I'm going to make this happen. But for herself, it's like, ooh, here I am in the month of June, summer month, and she's thriving, she's rocking. But again, she just simply made some clear decisions. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. And then let's move into some coaching, but it was like the power of, again, goals and systems, and then identity level, and looking at for ourselves, getting back into alignment of like, yeah, my most vibrant self is choosing this, this, and this. And these are then the habits that align to that identity.
I love that. So simple, but so powerful. I love how you've taught over and over too, that the doing is not the hard part, it's the deciding. So it's about committing, being all in. I love the quote by Johann van Gogh. At the moment of commitment, the entire universe conspires to assist you. And Napoleon Hill has a similar quote too. So yes, true principles.
Love it.
Well, let's jump into some coaching. Raise your hand if you'd like to come on so we can work through goals, blocks, whatever's coming up for you. So the quote that I shared, Maria, is, at the moment of commitment, the entire universe conspires to assist you. Johann van Gogh. Powerful.
So good. So yes, we'd love to support you the rest of our time here. I know last week there was a few of you that had raised your hand that we didn't have a time to get to all of the coaching shares that were coming in. But if you have something we can support you with, whether it's personally related, belief, team related, time management, systems, business growth, we'd love to support you. So who'd like to lead us out today? And if you want to come on live on camera, we'd love that. If you just want to post your question, you can do that as well.
I saw in the chat when you were talking about systems, Tiffany, that someone is feeling that urge right now in their business. And so they're looking at Enroll Pro. It's a great system for getting organized. It's a great way just to track the progress of your customers, your sharers, your builders, just being a good friend to them and offering them the very best to help them succeed. Enroll Pro is a great tool for that. In fact, we were with Laura, and she assured all of us that as the BOGO came live, we didn't need to be the ones making the graphics, panicking at the last minute to get the word out, because it was all there in Enroll Pro. So we were among those who were more than happy to leverage tools so that we could get the word out quickly to our teams for the BOGOs. But Chaz is with us online. So welcome.
Hey, good morning.
How are you?
Amazing. How are you two?
Chad, so fun to see you.
It's nice to see you guys. Thank you for taking my call. I got a question for you. I'm pretty good at talking to people about doTERRA and introducing all different kinds of things. And I work in a hospital. I do security. And the other day I was walking on one of the floors and this nurse looked at me and I asked her, "Hey, how may I support you today?" And she just looked at me like, "What?" And I said it again. And she goes, "Well, I want to lose weight. I want to have more money and I want more time in my life. What can you do for me?" And I froze. I wanted to explain everything that I could. And I says, "Actually, I'd like to meet with you, but outside of here." So I got her name and her number, and we're going to meet outside of here, but outside of work. But I got nervous, and I'm not quite sure how to lay it all out for her. So I'd like some advice.
Dang, I love that. And thank you for bringing this. I've been in a similar situation where you're on the spot and you've got the perfect prospect in front of you asking the perfect question, right? They're asking all the right things. And you're like, where do I start? There's so much I could offer, right? So I love what Tiffany coaches on this all the time, which is just to get curious, right? Like that's the perfect time to just drop into, well, I'm just curious. Like, tell me, why is that important to you? Or what would life look like with, if you had lost weight, if you had time freedom, if you had financial freedom, you know what I mean? Like just take some of that pressure off of you and give yourself some space and put the mic back in their hands. And so I love how those questions do that. So that would be my first coaching, but I actually love what you did and said, let's talk sometime, because that level of desire and that level of need that they're giving you, it really does deserve a sit down. Like, let's grab a coffee and just, I'll share everything that I have, but also I want to listen and hear what it is that you're looking for, why it matters to you. So actually, I have no issue with exactly the way you handled it. Like, that's okay. Because it also gives, it does the same thing. It takes some of the pressure off you to like answer all those questions and meet all those needs, right? The other thing I would say is, let's not make this about you. Let's make sure that you're first getting really clear on what exactly is she's looking for, so that you can respond in a more informed way and really meet her needs where she's at. I think it's really, really tempting, especially with us who have been in the business for a while, to kind of be like a puppy dog who's just like jumping up on people and like, doTERRA, like there's a video out there that's really funny, Dave Miller put together. And it's really, it's not very appealing when we present doTERRA that way. So I just love this idea of let's give that conversation the time it deserves. So those are my quick thoughts. Tiff, I'd love to hear what you would add. How would you respond?
Yeah, so exactly what Andy modeled is I would just take it deeper. And so she says, yeah, I'd love this. Well, how long have you thought about changing this? I love the how long question, right? Many of you have been through the 5 gates, my sales training process, and it's woven into the share success systems as well. But just those questions where, again, you're curious is like, think about yourself like a little bit like an investigative reporter, like you're going to ask more detailed questions, right? Like, tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. How long have you felt this way? How long have you thought about changing this? How's it impacting you? How have you tried to solve it in the past? Right? Did that work? How's it, and again, you're just asking deeper questions where they can really feel, and they feel also seen and heard. And what you're doing is also gaining trust of, now, if when you present a solution, it's like, they feel like, gosh, Chaz is really taking the time to hear me. So exactly what Andy said is just like, yes, I'd reinforce those additional questions. And then if she's like, yeah, I'd like to know more. Great. Well, because I'm on the job here in this role, I'd love to share with you more of certain wellness products that have really helped me. But if I'd like to schedule a time, we can do that outside of here, like you did. I think you handled it really well. I just think that if you're in that environment, you can still, though, ask more questions because it's just conversation. where
Mhm.
you're taking it deeper to understand her needs and vision, her pain, her challenges, and what's up for her. And then like exactly what you did is let's schedule a time to connect and follow up about this.
That's great info. Thank you both for that. Yes.
Yeah, so good. Thank you for modeling that for us. Cause yes, like Jackie's saying, she says, I love that. Wish I'd remember to ask those questions when I encounter this.
Can I just give a shout out to you, Chaz, for how you inspired that question, because you let out by, putting yourself out there and asking, I forgot the exact question. How can I make your day better today? Or how can I serve you today? Like that is the power question, the power mindset right there. When you can be that servant in people's lives, then you are setting yourself up to be a change agent, to be a force for good and to influence. And that's what we all sign up for in this crazy doTERRA community, right? That's the potential we have. So I hope we can all model that a little better. Just being the kind of person who's out looking for chances to lift, to serve, to inspire. So thank you for your example today, Chaz.
Thank you both. And I want to say that asking people how may I support them, I learned it from both of you by taking this this coaching call every week, because that's not something I would ask people. And people see me in my uniform and I look a little different and they're like, are you being serious? So I want to thank both of you. I love you guys so much and thank you for all your support.
Oh, thank you so much. Chaz has been one of our regulars, probably one of the longest standing regulars on this call. So
we're big Chaz fans.
Big Chaz fans.
Big
Thank
time.
you.
Yeah. But I do think it goes to say, like, whether again at the office, at the grocery store, at the play group, at the park, when we show up with just that intention, it's not to say that every conversation is going to lead to a sale product, of course. But when we're just living our lives that way, isn't that a more rich, abundant way of living anyway? It's just like, hey, how are you? And how can I support you today or serve you, or how are, and like we generally take an interest in people. Mm-hmm. People can feel that intentionality, or that when it's that genuine, like you making that eye contact. How are you? And how's your day? And is there anything I can do to support you? And sure, there'll be plenty of people that'll be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Thanks. Bye. But you never know how many rich conversations can get started and how that comes to be. You just don't know, guys. Which brings me to, again, the reminder, like, once again, the statement that you can only control how you show up. Right? Like, when you think about it in this way, and one of the sessions when you were gone, Andy, we put the sales funnel up on the screen, right? A sales funnel image, and talked through that, is how we show up and the value that we can add and so forth. And just several of you, it's just like different things for myself. My own business is how many people that years later then decide, oh, I'm ready to hire you or join your program or do this thing. But you just keep showing up like, I'm here to keep adding value. And you're doing that in the space you're in, right? And like, oh, and if you're just keep being that person, more and more opportunities will show up. So powerful. And to me, that's where you take your power back of what you can quote control. And it's like, you can show up today and like, I'm going to bring light to this space, to the different, whether, patients that are there, to the nurses and the staff, like, you're doing that. So thank you for reminding us of that.
Hope you guys have an awesome day and welcome to summer. Thanks for your help. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay. Thanks, Chaz. See you. Oh, good stuff.
Yeah. Daryl wants to share.
Okay, great.
Laura has her hand up too. So if we can come to her, but if Daryl wants to share his example, that'd be great.
Okay, great. So we've invited Dr. Daryl to be a co-host, or no, a panelist, and then we'll bring Laura on.
Okay, there you go. Hey, thanks for letting me on. How you doing, Andy and Tiffany?
Great,
Hi,
welcome.
friend.
Hey, good to see you. Yeah, it's just kind of a simple story, but I think it's really cool. So I was a couple weeks ago, I was at girls' camp with my 12-year-old daughter, and we were going on a little hike. We were up by Strawberry Reservoir, for those who know Utah. And anyway, some of the girls there encountered some stinging nettle as they were hiking, and they were just starting to have this awful itch. And it was kind of out and back, so we had to hike in about a mile-ish, and then we had to hike back. So it was right at the point where they were starting to come back. They were this itchy, and they're not in, they're just in discomfort. And so my daughter, just now, she is the best oil advocate completely. We just want to wait till I get 18, but she'll go diamond quickly because she loves the oils. She's like, hey, I've got lavender oil in my bag. So she whipped it out. She gave it to the girls. They started using it. And they go, wow, this really works. This really helps. It made them feel better. They could then go on our hike. And then we're just talking all the way back. And like, isn't it great they had it? She's like, yeah, I had my mom make sure that I filled up my lavender before I came to camp. And I'm so happy I had it. And it was just a great story. So I just wanted to share with you how cool that was to have that oil out while we're hiking. And my daughter already knows the love of oils with that.
I love it. Way to model that.
Mhm.
And again, you guys, like, do you just feel, I feel so grateful regularly for doTERRA, and even just the simple, like, I mean, they have so many amazing products, but just even the simple OGs of like lavender, lemon, peppermint, just that initial trio, let alone frankincense and On Guard and Balance. And now we have Midnight Forest and Black Spruce. And now we have, all Citrus Bliss, so many levels of products, but just how even one bottle can like make such a difference.
Mhm.
Yeah. I just opened a new bottle of lavender like 2 nights ago that I utilized for a little bit of just calming and sleep, and I just like how it is. And the reminder of, for our skin and the skincare line. Can we talk about that? Right. The sun care. It's like, oh, that's such good stuff. So if it's been a minute since you've been like, I'm so grateful for doTERRA, maybe that's the thought you think and write down today. It's like, whoa, they're doing so much good, such clean, good products.
Mhm. So true. Thanks for that share, Dr. Darrell. All right, Laura.
Good morning. It's good to be with you. So I would love to just have a new perspective. I have been really working on accepting abundance. That has been like a massive inherited wall that I've had to work around. And I really feel like I'm making progress there. And the thing that is coming up for me now is feeling really torn or conflicted. We're adopting a teenager from Colombia, and makes me emotional. And that's going to be a lot of effort and energy and work to help him heal and thrive and have the opportunities that he wants. It's I feel like it's going to require a lot from me. And so I've noticed myself really feeling pulled back into my home and into motherhood and partnership, supporting my husband. And I love that. I love being in that space with them. And part of me just wants to kind of cocoon there and be there. And I also have this other part of me that really loves to excel and serve and empower other people. Like, there's this little voice in me that's like, but there's more in you to give, right? There's a bigger world that you're meant to be part of. And man, those two worlds are fighting inside of me. And there's fear of overwhelm and burnout. I totally do have adrenal fatigue, and I'm low on magnesium and zinc, and so I'm doing the things physically to help with that. But man, I just feel deeply conflicted. Like I'm finding joy in baking bread for my family and making home cooked meals and things that when I really hyper focus on my business, which is my nature to hyper focus on things, I don't do those things. And it feels great to be doing those again. And also, it feels a little bit like an either or conflict. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tiff.
Yeah, no, we're just holding space for you, love, because it's a lot of, a lot, of course. You're on the cusp of massive change. It's normal to feel conflicted.
It is
excited. It's massive.
Yeah.
And it's normal to feel excited.
A lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is in your heart of hearts, is this what's right for you?
It is. And I mean, I can't move on to the next phase after this life and be like, sorry, I wanted to be more comfortable. So I chose not to bring this child that we feel connected to into our home because it was uncomfortable, or it stretched me. That goes against my nature.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a massive, massive sacrifice for me and for my children. And my husband's working 3 jobs and starting a new business, like just to stay afloat financially because of the cost. And so there's all the sacrifice up front, and there will be innumerable emotional rewards as we get to bond with him and see him heal and hope that he, chooses the life that we would love to facilitate for him. But all that unknown is stressful. You work for 6 months. He doesn't even know we're adopting him yet. So we're in the sacrifice phase with no, you can't really take action. It's such a weird space to be. You can't take action that's meaningful, that resolves, that moves you forward. You can't bond. I can't even talk to him. He doesn't even know we're adopting him, So it's a big emotional processing there. And then feeling like I want to be working on our goals and moving forward and supporting my husband so he doesn't have to work 3 jobs. It's just, I feel conflicted.
What are you conflicted about?
Where I feel like my energy is limited. And I also have mono. I'm not active mono, but like childhood flare, because my body's just a little worn out. And so it's like the underlying thought there is, am I enough? And that probably just ties back into abundance, right? Is there enough? Am I enough? Will we be able to do all of it?
Well, if you're honoring what God's guiding you to do, you will be completely provided for and sustained. God is such a generous Father. I know that's me sharing very personal beliefs, and not everyone uses the same language, but he is such a generous provider and that provision. And so if you're in alignment with what's right for you, and honoring that, then you will be provided for. A few things in the process is I would regularly check in with yourself and your own nervous system regulation, which is, what do you need, sweetheart? And doing things physically, prioritizing your rest, your body, less time on distractions and social and technology, and really having things that nourish you, right? I'm a big fan of that question, is what nourishes me, and coming into nourishment. And then specifically to grow your business, though, this might be your catalyst that is really helping push you to say, let's really make some things happen with this business at the next level. And you can do both, sis. You can be baking the bread and connecting with family and rocking a freaking business. It isn't either or. What you need heavily, though, are time boundaries and very clear, when are my office hours? And we communicate that to the family. If we need to hire childcare in those hours, we do that. We get support. We have support and systems in place, but we make decisions of, great, you don't have to work this business 40 hours a week to have it thrive, but you do need consistency. And so if you say, great, I'm working this, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I have 4-hour blocks where I'm really rocking my doTERRA business in nourishing and follow-ups, connections, education, or however you spread that in your calendar week to week. I know, my calendar changes week to week because I have various things that are happening, right? Like this Friday, I'm speaking at a mastermind in Park City for a group, and that's different than last week. And, there's various things, but I know there's certain core priorities, again, back to systems and processes that need regular nourishment if I want to see business growth. And so having that in your calendar is, you don't have to live in this, but you do need boundaries. And then to communicate that with the family is like, here's when mom's office hours are. And here's how you can best support me, or you need to hire support, and put that in place if that's what you're up to. But I think it's one, we want to normalize when you're facing a big change. It's normal to feel all the feels, right? But even if you weren't adopting this child, guess what? You'd still have some degree of these feelings up for yourself, because that's lifing you, right? Like, oh, what's happening? And I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. And so that's why nervous system regulation on a daily basis for all of us, which is, what do you need, sweetheart? And what are my practices? What are the things, my physical movement, my rest, my nourishment, my supplementation, my hydration, prayer, meditation, things that nourish my spirit, and that you're doing the things that give you nourishment on a regular basis. And as your anxiety spikes, that's normal too. Is a lot of times what your anxiety is likely attached to is the unknown, because this is new turf and new territory for almost all of you listening. This is your biggest thing that's triggering you at times, is the unknown. Will it work? How's it going to work out? What about this financially? What about this in my marriage? What about this with this child? What about this in my business? A lot of the unknown, and knowing that it's like, one of my dear friends, he has this phrase, is you don't have to know how everything's going to go. You just need to know the knower. And what he's teaching there is, again, having a nourished partnership with God. And I respect truly how everyone here might say universe, might say God, Buddha, Jesus, but how you presence to your spiritual higher power, is that you're on this exciting, rich path, but you're not alone on this path. So nourishing yourself, normalizing when we face big change, right? And then for any one of you, if you're like, I really want to see my business grow, that needs to be more than just a wish. And you start putting practices and systems in place and having boundaries on your time. And when are my office hours? When am I working? And doing those core priorities, and not just shuffling quote papers, but I'm proactively contacting, mentoring, following up, contacting, calling. I know that might sound a little bit like, well, Tiff, just give me the magic bullet. We have many times. It's just sometimes we're like, I want to feel, many of you, when part of we gather every week and we come get nourished together. But what changes your life isn't this call. What changes your life are the actions you take. This call can inspire you, but if we're not taking actions on it, it's just, if for some of you, it's a distraction. Where we're just like, oh, I'm getting ready to get ready. And some of you keep waiting to feel a different feeling, and then you'll really show up. You're waiting to feel more confident. You're waiting to feel more like, okay, I'm ready. Because you're going to have resistance when you're facing growth. And so when you say, gosh, I'm resisting making the phone call, sending the text, hosting the gathering, I feel you, I get you, but that is the exact work that needs to be happening. And so love, I'm so excited for this season of your life. And it's big change. So it's normal to feel those feels. So we do our grounding, we do our nourishing. And then we also get really intentional about our calendar, and we have office hours and practices and systems that we're rinsing and repeating. But some of you, did I just call some of you out? Lovingly, of course. But some of you, it's like you keep waiting to feel a different feeling before you're really going to get after it. You keep waiting to feel more confident, more like, okay. And you know, it's like, okay, I feel, but it's like, no, pick up the phone, call and contact, reach out, nourish, DM. And again, it doesn't, hey, you want to buy? It's, hey, how are you with this? Or what about this? Or what about that? Or I'm loving these products. They've made such a difference. I'd love to share them with you if you're interested. So often we're afraid of rejection. I'm going to say something that's going to light someone on fire. So just get ready. So often we're afraid of rejection of someone else, but you're actually rejecting yourself by not putting yourself out there. You're rejecting your own dreams before you even get started. Rejection is not the worst thing. The worst thing is that you aren't living into your potential. That's the worst thing. The worst thing, someone tells you no, someone doesn't respond to your DM, big whoop. Are you going to show up and like add value to the planet and people's lives? Some are going to say yes, some are going to say no, some are going to ignore you. But it's like the biggest fear isn't, or the biggest, the rejection of like, someone didn't respond, someone didn't say yes, someone didn't, come to my class or buy. The bigger rejection is you reject yourself by not even trying and not even going for it. It's like you have value to add, so get out there and add it. All right. We've been to church. Like I feel my whole body, like my whole torso's on fire right now. I'm like, okay.
I love it.
I'm like, easy, Tiff, easy. Here we go. Like fire breathing dragon. But it's just true how often we're living in our own cage, our own prison that we've built off the quote, fear of what anyone else might think of us and the fear of rejection. And so it's like, yeah. And I know that's not necessarily, Laura's question directly, like she's talking about a lot of change and how we, yes, soothe your nervous system. But don't get stuck there where it's like, if you want to see your businesses grow, loves, you have to take the action. You have to make the calls. You have to show up. And you keep waiting to like, I'm going to feel more confident and then I'll go and do. And it's like, no, the going and doing actually gives you confidence. Anyway, Andy, take it, because I just feel like I'm going to fire hose some people today.
No, it's so good. This is really a needed conversation. I'm seeing lots of people in the chat who are just like, this is me. So thank you, Laura, for raising your hand and being willing to be the voice. So whenever we get that feeling of overwhelm, there are a lot of ways to interpret that, right? One of the first questions we ask is, am I on the right course, right? Am I on mission? And I think it's more useful to ask, how can I redirect my energy? And so, to Tiffany's point, like, clearly, like if you're on this call, you probably are feeling the call to share doTERRA, to share these gifts of the earth and do it as a business. And so I would just invite you to ask, how can I do that more effectively? How can I leverage my time, my energy, so that at the end of the day, I don't feel more drained, I feel more energized. So I just, huge amen. Thank you for preaching, Tiff, and the invitation, I think, has hit home with so many of us.
Well, I appreciate, Laura, how are you feeling? Because you're the one that put yourself out there to ask. Have we at least shared a few things to help support you and help you move forward?
Yeah. I apparently can't talk about anything without crying right now, but but for sure I have felt a call to nourish myself and my family. And I think I just feel guilt when I do that and shift my attention away from like goals that will long term bring benefit to them.
So can I ask
But you're right. Time. Yeah.
if the message is guilt, where's the source of that message?
Well, certainly not from God. I mean,
that would not be light.
he's put both, right. And he's put both desires in my heart and the capacity. He doesn't, I believe that God gives you the capacity to fulfill the desires he places in you. Otherwise, he would be unjust and unkind, and that's not who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I must have the capacity. And there may be a time in the season, and I feel impatient with my lack of alignment with those things, right? Like I would like my mind and my desires to be in alignment and just take decisive action. Like make the choice and love your choice, right? But I don't know. I guess I don't feel satisfied with the idea that I don't have the capacity and I to do all of it as I feel it. And so I need to look at what's stopping me from scheduling my time more clearly and making it okay to have different priorities, different days, right?
Yeah, or even just office hours.
Yeah, office hours and family time too. Like you're saying, I'm needing time for family as well, and you're feeling the call to that. And so, I think a lot of times, loves, it's just realize that your feelings come from what you're thinking and from the belief. And when we're feeling the emotion of guilt, we can change a belief or change the behavior. I think it's much more valuable to change belief. Right? Because some of you, like, for instance, would say good moms have a fresh homemade meal on the table at dinner every single night, night after night, at 5 p.m. And you can either live up to that behavior and that you're there and you make it, arrange your whole day that dinner happens at 5 on the spot. Then some of you start saying, well, I need to grow my own homemade food in my own garden to then make that, to then get there to this and that. And I'm not saying that's not a valuable thing, but it's just this awareness, like, I care that my kids are fed. Cool. Might have it at 5, might have it at 6. I might homemade the meal. I might DoorDash, but I care that we have family time and connecting. But the point is, like, you can change belief, you can change behavior. But a lot of this, love, is you're feeling what you're thinking. And so make up your mind, control your mind, right? And ask and pray for help for that. It's like, this is what I choose, to follow and to honor, knowing it's a process for all of us. That you get to be a work in progress, sis, and you get to have grace. But it does sound like it would help and support you to make some decisions about your calendar. And you don't necessarily have to do all the, like, what's my resistance here and the feelings and the this. You can look at that, but sometimes we get lost in those weeds. My mentor would say the why is the booby prize.
Mm-hmm.
Is just make some new decisions. Like, this is what I'm creating, versus sometimes we want to understand, like, why do I have resistance to do this and to do that? Well, I do have, okay. And not saying that isn't valuable at times, but sometimes I think you're just being really hard on yourself, sis. I mean, honestly. And so I would just firm that up and say, enough. Okay, this is what I'm creating in this season for this day, this week, this month. This is what I'm creating for my home, for my business, and that you move, allow yourself to move forward.
I do think that I need to, I agree with you. I am a recovering perfectionist with extremely high standards for myself.
Yeah.
And I also, I think that I have pretty strong resistance right now to spending my time in a space where I think it's a belief issue. I don't know that my time will pay the dividends that I have believed and hoped it would, So then, of course, you don't do the activities that will create great results.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure how to address that other than, in the past, I just did the things, right? I just went, oh, well, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do the things and prove that belief wrong. But I have not had one strong leader on my team. And I'm not willing to keep doing it all by myself.
So see, we're coming into lots and lots of layers. We started with adoption. We started with time. Now we're into leaders, these various things and belief. And I totally get that. So you can feel these feels, but then make some decisions about where am I going and what am I creating? And part of it, love, is that I agree, is like, let's attract you some great leaders. But the energy in you right now is not attractive. And I don't mean you're not attractive. I mean, but the magnetism, which is like, let's get yourself nourished. Let's get yourself some boundaries and come home to that vision is like, where are you going and what are you creating? Because I just sense like, again, you're exhausted, but part of your exhaustion is from the thoughts you keep thinking, right? Like the thought of, I don't want to do this on my own anymore, or I'm tired of this. Does that thought bring you up and like, ooh, let's get after doTERRA? Or does it like, no, it doesn't. It's deflating.
Yeah.
And so again, a lot of this is all of us is let's come home and let's nourish your mind. Let's weed out the negative. Let's plant intentionally is like, this is what I'm creating. This is what I'm nourishing. What do I need? I'm showing up for myself. I'm showing up for my family. Here's where I'm working on business. And you come home to the vision of it. But y'all, I'll say this. I said it last week, the week before. doTERRA's just barely scratching the surface. There is so much possibility in this business, so much possibility. And that's not just motivational hype talk, but you got to get your minds right. And then you got to take a lot of action. And so take the time. And if you need to take a day off, and you know what? You don't have to keep building doTERRA. That's also a choice. Right? You don't have to do it. Give yourself the choice. It's just like none of you have to stay married. It's a choice. But make choices, right? Choose to have a thriving marriage and be there and invest. Choose to have a thriving business, be there and invest. Choose to have a healthy body and be more vibrant. And you choose that. And these are choices and we are in ownership. I love the power of choice, right? We come home to that. So hopefully we've put probably, several $1 million nuggets out here today in this sharing call overall, right? So whichever one, any one of you here listening needed to hear, whether it's how you show up for yourself, what nourishes me, recommit, whether you recommit to time management and boundaries, whether you commit to, or how you reframe the fear of rejection, realizing the worst rejection isn't if someone tells you no, or someone ghosts you or whatever. The worst rejection is if we reject ourselves by not even going for our own dreams and our own goals. But y'all are part of something incredible. You're part of a community and products that legit have a positive influence. And whether you want to work this as a business or not, that's always your choice. But let me say something directly. You can't blame it on doTERRA if you guys aren't taking action. Oh, this just doesn't work. No, you have to work. And that might sound really firm, but I'm here as a coach. I'm not here as just like, is if we want the truth, that's what I'm going to share. It's like, it works, but you got to do the work. Not perfectly, but consistently. And that isn't like, but again, it's a choice. And that might not, for some of you, you're like, no, I enjoy doing this more of a hobby. It's fun to share a little here and there. But it's like, if you really want to create an income from this and it's a business, well, then a business is like the way that it runs. Like, I think of the brand Apple. Apple isn't deciding every other day or hour. It's like, do I feel like showing up today? Do we feel like producing iPhones and iPads? And not really in the mood. It's like systems. and consistency. So anyway, I hope I'm not too far in the weeds, but it's just coming home to some of those basic truths is, Laura, you're in the midst of a lot of exciting change. Nourish yourself and then get honest with yourself and make some decisions. And some of you, it's like, want to hear this, don't want to hear this, but it's like making those decisions and then aligning to, it's like, okay, I'm going for it. And I need a schedule and I need systems and consistency. And along that, I'm going to need some good self-care. Because it does take courage to build your business. It does take courage to keep showing up and to put yourself out there. It does. So lots of love from me to you. I do need to transition as we're a little bit over today, but thank you for your heart. I'm sending you so much love in this season of your life and believe in every one of you listening that as you truly, right? Like, I'm going to make these choices. I'm going to show up. I'm not going to maybe get it perfectly, but I'm going to keep showing up. That's what we can control, is how we show up. Andy, anything you want to wrap us up with today?
Just a huge thank you, Tiff. And if there's one message that I could send to Tiff or to Laura and to all of us, is that it all comes back to energy. Like the energy that you choose, the energy that you create is exactly what's going to come back to you. So if you can create the feeling of excitement, of success, of health, of healing, that's exactly what's going to come back to you. So I just amen and hallelujah to like the why is the booby prize. Like, it's really not a win to just discover why you're feeling down or why you're feeling overwhelmed. Like, at the end of the day, like, just create the energy of what you want. Amen. So thank you, Tiff.
So good.
I love your fire. I love the energy. It's so, so good. Thank you all so much for joining us. And thanks for going overtime with us, Tiff. We will look forward to seeing you all next week.